The Paleozoic era, 500 million years ago. The microcontinent was situated near the equator. The Western scientists called it Kazakhstania. It would take 2 eras more for Kazakhstania to move and become a heart of modern Eurasia. Now our common home is in Kazakhstan. The geological structure with a history of millions of years. The structure with almost full list of elements from the Mendeleev's table inside its depth. What secrets does Kazakhstan soil have? How rich is it? Natural resources are the history of our land for thousands of years. The richest mineral deposits on our planet were formed at the end of the Paleozoic era. The unique territories with underground treasure are situated on the territory of Kazakhstan. 99 elements of the Mendeleev periodic table are located here. Reserves of 70 of them have been explored, and 60 are still being developed. Scientists suggested that the total reserves of underground resources of Kazakhstan are estimated at approximately $10 trillion. According to the results of geological and economic evaluation of the available mineral resources in Kazakhstan, oil, copper, iron, lead, zinc, chromite, gold, manganese, and coal have the highest economic value. Copper is the first metal that man learned to use. It gave impulse to the development of the steppe civilization. The famous Bronze Age started from the time when people first started to produce and process this valuable natural material. Kazakhstan is the priority area of copper resources of the world. The largest red metal mine is located here. The huge mining companies and steel mills are working there. Thus, there are 122 copper mines in Kazakhstan today, and they produce about 500,000 tons of pure copper per year. Zhezdi, Aktogay, Bozshikulmaykain, Rudny Altai, South Jangaria, Kendiktas, and Mogojeri are the leaders of the list of mining regions. The central Kazakhstan is the leading copper mining region, where Zhezdi deposit of unique copper is being developed. So, central Kazakhstan is the copper cradle of our country. Almost 37% of all copper resources are located in Karaganda region. The general reserve of the Kazakhstan cuprum is estimated at 41.2 million tons, and this is 5.5% of the world reserves. At the same time, Kazakhstan is among top 10 countries in the world for mining copper reserves. Kazakhstan copper is impressive not only because of its quantity, but also because of the quality of the ore mines. The copper has been extracted for centuries from Zhezdi, Konrite, Sayan, Bozshikol, Oreol, Nikolaev, Tatarkol fields. At the same time, stocks of some of them are unlikely to run out for the next 100 years. The humans discovered copper 7,000 years ago. Being native, it was located almost on the surface of the Earth's crust. Humans processed this soft metal using stones. Later, ancient people paid attention at the fact that copper could be easily melted when heated. When putting stones around fireplace, the ancient people noticed that some of them were melting. In fact, those stones contained copper ores that were melting. That was how people discovered copper. The scientists called it the Chalcolithic period, meaning copper stone. Later, during the Bronze Age, people used stone tools made of grit and granite to process copper ores. So, this period is known for active use of copper. This is how ancient metallurgy was born. There is still a question how ancient miners were able to find deposits of minerals without modern knowledge and instruments. According to the experts' opinion, the majority of deposits were discovered more than 4,000 years ago. Geologists call it chud pits. This is a collective noun to name the most ancient ore mines that had been found on the territory of the former Soviet states. As for chud pits, copper mines of Zhezdi, Kyrgyzstan, Birkara, Karagöl, Aktas and others had been explored. Geologists still continue to find ores following the routes of the ancient miners.
Чуть, как были рудознатцы. Есть такое месторождение Саяк. Саяк это в геологическом.
The people of Chad tribe were good at ore mining. In Kazakhstan, there is the Sayak deposit, rich with gold and copper ores. Those ores contained carbonate. The surface was partly copper green, showing signs of copper in the ores. And the people of Chad tribe knew that very well. So, in that place they dug a mine and found copper deposits with high-grade ore inside. Geologists are seeking traces of ancient Chad tribe, and they know they will find ores in the places where people of the Bronze Age lived. The ancient mines are located in the heart of Kazakhstan. So, Kanish Satpayev, a prominent scientist geologist who had explored these areas, was delighted with the work of the ancient miners. Ancient culture had a wonderful exploration service, Satpayev said. According to estimations of Satpayev, more than 1 million tons of high-grade copper had been extracted by prehistoric miners. From those times, human memory brought to us the name of the location which gave its name to the city of Zhezdi. The translation sounds like copper pits. In 1934, when Kanish Satpayev was drawing a topographic map of the Zhezdi region, he revealed about 400 deposits firstly explored in the ancient times. Zhezdi village. Being located near Zhezdi, this village has a population of less than 3,000 people. However, Zhezdi can be called a birth symbol of the Kazakh copper. Although it's hard to imagine, a couple of centuries ago, Russian prospectors, European scientists and Western capitalists were coming here to the center of Kazakhstan's steppe. Today, the history of Zhezdi glorious land is being stored by the local museum. By the way, this is the only museum of history of mining and smelting in the region of CIS. Here are the showpieces, artifacts and real objects that illustrate the history of ancient and modern copper industry. The museum is proud of its operating reconstruction site of bloomery and crucible furnaces of Atasu and Melikuduk settlements dated back to the 2nd and 1st millennium BC. More precisely, it is not even the furnace, but the whole prehistoric full-cycle plant, starting from ore processing, furnace loading, and ending with smelting and metal casting. The currently operating furnace is of Melikuduk type. This furnace can be used multiple times. After loading the fuel and ore, furnace access door is closed with a stone. After that, everything is sealed with clay. Air is supplied to the furnace by means of bellows. This method allows to maintain the desired temperature to melt copper. The whole process takes at least 12 hours. Then the stone door is opened and crucible are removed. The boiling mass is poured into a mold made of stone or clay. The cast objects were further processed in the workshops located in the same place.
The
Zhezdi furnaces are different from the other furnaces found in the Eurasian continent. For example, the furnaces in Uralsk are mainly built between rocks, with heat supported by winds blowing between the mountains. These furnaces were constructed right near the mines. When Uralsk scientists conducted their research works in the metallurgical complex of the Taldasai settlement, they mentioned that our furnaces belong to the ancient metallurgical complexes that are even older than those of Uralsk type. Once again, it confirms that at those times the Zhezdi region was already a center of non-ferrous metallurgy. And the findings of stone molds indicate that not just pure copper had been melted, but also its tin alloy, which we call bronze. Bronze items such as household utensils, weapons and tools were cast in Zhezdi and widely exported, even to European countries. This fact was proved by the modern scientists, and during the last few years, German archaeologists and experts in geology found evidence that in ancient times central Kazakhstan was one of the world's centers of bronze production. During the same period, one of the richest tin deposits was also in Kazakhstan, located in the east of the country. The nomadic tribes of Saks would come after the rich metallurgical heritage of Andronova culture. They knew that the metal gives unlimited authority and advantage in the battle in the vast steppes. Realizing the importance of metallurgy, Turk and Turkish Khagans had been locating their headquarters close to deposits with copper ore. Ancient miners knew that the metal rich with copper was here, so they had been developing copper ore mines, Zhezdi ones, and our ancestors also located headquarters in central Kazakhstan because they knew that there was a lot of metal here, and the metal was the base of farming and living. It was needed to conquer the territories. At the beginning of the 20th century, Kazakhstan's subsoil was already attractive for investors. On the 1st of July in 1907, Atbasar Copper Mining Joint Stock Company was established in London with a basic capital of £500,000. This was how the Zhezdi region got foreign funds. Jim Herbert, Jean Carnot, the son of the French president, and several European businessmen became the concessionaires. In 1909, it was decided to build a plant. 4 years after, a caravan left the station of Joly and headed to the river of Karsakpay. The materials needed for the construction of the copper smelting plant were delivered by camels, and the rest equipment was shipped from Great Britain by train. A 13 kilometers long narrow-gauge railway was first led so that a train could run its way. Then the railway was dismantled and laid back again just in front of the train. It took 2 years for the British people to pass 400 kilometers this way. During this period of time, 6 trains, 95 platforms and 3 wagons were shipped here. It is important that this railway opened access to the mineral wealth of the Great Steppe. The English plant's narrow gauge railway bridge is a curious artifact now, being must-see place of the city of Kazakhstan. These are fragments of the British narrow gauge railway, along which first-class ore with a high copper content had been sent from Jezdi.
Ағылшын инженерлері менен геологтары 9-шы жылдан бастап 15 жыл бойы.
For 15 years, the British had been doing the exploration works here. At the time, nobody knew how rich Jezdi is with ore reserves. According to the scientists, during 15 years, the British found 61 to 67,000 tons of copper. It turns out about 5,000 tons of copper per year. And based on their estimations, it was enough to build a smelting factory here. Thus, in 1913, the foreigners put the first brick to the future copper smelting plant and dressing factory. All of the equipment was brought from England. So, this plant was the first plant built in Kazakhstan. Rare islands of dead wood, cracked ground groaning under the heat in summer and covered by snowdrifts in winter. No signs of life for many kilometers around. Bitpagdala is a hungry steppe, but it is the place that became a starting point of the Industrial Revolution that later would have transformed the nomadic land. Here, on the halfway between nowadays Jezdi with its copper mines and Baikonur, from where coal was transported, the British established the first copper smelting factory in 1913. The breakthrough project gave life to the village of Kazakhstan, which has right to be called the ancestor of all Kazakhstani industrial towns. Why was smelting factory built in Kazakhstan? Because of its central location. Baikonur coal mines are situated in the west on the left, while Jezdi copper deposits are on the right. South is the exit way to the Caspian Sea, and in the north is our factory itself. 100 years have passed since then, but the English heritage continues to work for the well-being of modern Kazakhstan. Now we are in the machine shop of Kazakhstan smelting factory. All of these machines, which are in our operation, we got from the British. Until today, all of them are in operation. But still, a lot of equipment was replaced during the Soviet times. The used machines were removed to the Museum of History and Mining and Smelting of Zhezdi village. This is the English steam locomotive, horn of which whistled in the Great Steppe for the first time. By the way, it was the first railway in the territory of the Karaganda region. Nomads travel for dozens of kilometers to have a look at a devil wagon. The locomotive has become a symbol of the new century in the steppe. But central Kazakhstan is famous not only for these copper reserves. This land is also rich with manganese. By the way, Jezdi's manganese played an important role in defeating Nazi Germany. In fact, the production of steel with the quality appropriate for tank armor is impossible without adding manganese. Kanish Zatbayev, a founding father of Kazakh geology, made a huge contribution to the exploration of manganese mines. In 1926, being a young specialist, he was sent to the Kazakhstan village where he began his career. When searching for deposits of copper not far away from Zhezdi, he also saw there were signs of manganese necessary for production of steel. Later, this discovery helped to armor tanks that participated in the Second World War. Here, in Karsakpay, Kanish Satpayev created a metallogenic map. It's important to mention his huge contribution here. He opened near 400 deposits. Satpayev is the first Kazakhstan geologist, a founding father of the homeland geology. In 1940, Kanish Satpayev got the Order of Lenin, the highest award in the Soviet Union, for his contribution to the development of the Jizkazgan region. That's how the history of local geology got a new milestone, new discoveries and new achievements. All deposits that were discovered by Satpayev now continue to bring profit to the country and the world market of minerals. Today, mining and metallurgy industry of Kazakhstan, along with its rich mineral resources, is the engine of the country economy, and the main pricing factors such as low wages, cheap energy resources, and low depreciation costs increase the competitiveness of steel producers. The developing infrastructure of logistics system of Kazakhstan and unique location of the country between such major markets of steel products consumption as China and Europe make Kazakhstan attractive for exporters and foreign investors. After all, the center of the global steel production is shifting to Asia, where Kazakhstan is the third largest producer after China and Russia.